Is Spokane a good place to live? This is the question you're asking yourself if you're considering a move here, whether it's for job relocation, family, friends, anything under the sun. You want to know, is Spokane a good place for you? So I want to give you a little bit of perspective today. My perspective is somebody that was born and raised here, went and lived in 2 different states, and then came back because I couldn't stay away. But a lot has changed over the years. And so I want to just touch on a few key points that most of my clients that I help move here are most concerned about, which is the cost of living, the weather, how safe is it here? That's a big one. What things are there to do, and which location should I pick to live in? So this is kind of a holistic video, a big broad range. We're not going to get into too many major details today, but hopefully it'll give you a better perspective on what life here in Spokane is like. Let's get into this video. Okay, so the first thing on everybody's mind when they're determining if they're going to move here to Spokane is how expensive is it going to be? And usually everybody's mind jumps directly to those home prices, and because they've been a hot topic for so long, but there's a lot more to look at than just the price of homes. The long and short of it is that Spokane is still a low-cost city for the size and location, but I know you down in the comment sections are probably typing right now that Spokane is not affordable, prices have gone through the roof, all that kind of stuff. But looking at the data, Spokane is still relatively affordable to any major metro, and so it's really about what your perspective is. I recently learned that the greater Spokane area has had 120,000 people move to it between 2014 and 2022. And the majority of those people probably moved here from a market that was much more expensive than Spokane. And so if you are moving here from California, Seattle, Nevada, anything like that, this is what you really need to focus on if you're looking to save some money. And so I found that the best way to determine if life in Spokane is going to be cheaper for you is to actually jump into the cost of living calculator supplied by bestplaces.net. And so as you can see here on the screen, I picked Phoenix, Arizona, a place that's like not crazy more expensive than Spokane, not like LA or anything, because then I wanted the cost comparison to be a little more similar. And so if you had a salary of $100,000 in Phoenix, Arizona, that could decrease to about $90,000 in Spokane. And the reason that can go down is not just the housing costs, but also utilities are significantly less in that city, transportation overall is less, healthcare is less, and just random everyday expenses are less as well. So that's just something to look into. Use this calculator to see what it looks like in your area, because you might be surprised at how much you're spending on certain things in your area that the price would actually come down here in Washington. In addition, for the cost of living, a lot of people bring up the sales tax here in Washington. Well, I did live in Montana, so I haven't always lived with sales tax. It was nice over there, but I also wasn't a property owner and I had to pay income tax, which for me, I would much rather just keep a lot more of the money that I'm earning versus have to cut that check to the government every year. That's a lot bigger in some state like Montana versus here in Washington. If you're somebody that likes to save money, there's a couple things that you can do to save some money here in Spokane. The first being used direct primary care. It's up here on the screen right now. You can just see the website, but this is a healthcare alternative. Rather than paying through the roof in healthcare from the big companies, this is a local option that is amazing, and it's what I personally use. I don't know if it's a fit for everybody, but I would at least check it out because I think it's an awesome way to have affordable healthcare here in Spokane. Additionally, this isn't even a Spokane specific thing. I say to stop using the big box cell phone providers. I use Mint Mobile. It is a fraction of the price. The service is just as good, and I just pay for my phones in cash at that point. So I am stuck with like an iPhone SE right now. It's like 5 years old, but that's the life I choose to live. And then lastly, there's a lot of incentives with Avista, our electric company here, and the city of Spokane to do things for better green living. So the city of Spokane will give you a big incentive on your water bill if you landscape your yard in a certain way that needs less water. Or if you update windows or insulation in your home, the electric company will actually give you an incentive on your electric bill for those types of things. So there's a big push in ways, if you're going to spend money on your home anyway, make sure you look into those incentives so that you know if you can get a rebate on some of your bills and save some money down the road. But just to touch on the housing market, yes, prices have gone crazy over the last 3 years, but if you look at the graph right here on the screen, you can see prices have gone up and then come right back down, and we're actually kind of a flat line from early 2020 until early 2023. People that bought in early 2020, right when prices started to go up, are purchased their homes at the same prices that people are purchasing their homes for today now. So no, prices are not where they were in 2018, 2019, and nor do I think they ever will be. But the thing the person in 2020 had to do that you do not have to do is come out of pocket with a lot more cash in order to get into that home, because people were paying over the appraised amount and would have to make up that difference when they purchased the home, or they weren't getting any seller concessions, so they were having to fix things right when they moved into the home because the seller didn't have to do that. So today, you can get into a home for much less cash out of pocket using a simple FHA loan or a low down payment conventional loan. Keep money in your emergency fund for when those things come up, and potentially have your closing costs covered by the seller so that you can just keep more money in your pocket. So that, I think that is the biggest thing is, yes, interest rates are 5, 6, 7%. And in 2020, they were 2.5%, 3%, whatever they were. But those people had to come out of pocket with tens of thousands of dollars more than what you would have to do today. Drop a comment down below. Where are you moving from? I'll plug some of these into the cost of living calculator. And when I start doing some of my YouTube lives happening very soon, so subscribe so you get notified when those happen. We'll pull some of these up and compare the price difference from moving from certain markets to Spokane. So now the next thing people want to know about is the weather here in Spokane. The weather is basically unpredictable at this point. It has been snowing in Spokane from November 1st now until March 6th when I'm recording this video. So there has been snow for the last 4 months, and it hasn't been a record-breaking year by any means. We had a pretty dry January, but it's been like, we've had like 3 different winters. The snow hits super hard, it melts off, it hits again, it melts off, it hits again. And so it's just like emotional battle at this point that we got our snow, and now we're just getting way too much of it going forward. I'm hopeful that this little stint that we have right now is the last of it, and we will be heading into spring after this. But the groundhog definitely called it this year. 6 more weeks of winter. He was correct. But besides that, Spokane's a relatively mild climate. We get a wide range of weather all 4 seasons, and so I think that's the best part about it, is that you get to experience everything. It's not painfully hot summers. It's not painfully cold winters. It's not the best of the best. It's not the worst of the worst. So the next thing I want to talk about is safety. Is Spokane a safe place to live? So I'm not going to necessarily be able to talk on specific neighborhoods, locations. I'm not even going to jump into specific statistics in this video, but safety has been a hot button topic here in Spokane, especially with the increased presence or rise in homelessness that we've been dealing with over the last year or so. Now, personally, I wouldn't really expect much more from Washington's second largest city. If you're really comparing the first largest city to the second largest city, Seattle has a much worse homeless situation than we do by far. But the great thing is that even if homelessness, crime has been on the rise, it has been on the forefront of every city official's mind, and they've been taking action. Something that recently has been put into place is that the Spokane Police Department has put an additional 30 police officers at the downtown precinct, which makes the call times, the response times, basically next to nothing. Like, they are arriving within minutes of any perp that they're going after. Doesn't really have time to run away or get away. They are just on scene immediately. And so that's been a huge change. What I will say is that the violent crime here in Spokane is lower than the national average, but the property crime is above the national average. And I can say, as perspective and just being honest, I've dealt with property crime a few times in high school, and I just recently had my car broken into actually as well. What I will say and what I tell people is anytime it's happened to me, it's because I just left something visible in my car. It's just the fact that I left something in the seat that they break the window and they grab it. So that's just something to consider. But overall, the majority of crime seems pretty condensed to locations that people don't even live. Not many people actually live in downtown Spokane. The majority of people, especially my clients, move into the neighborhoods, the South Hill, the north side of Spokane, Liberty Lake, those types of things. And so crime is not necessarily present when you're actually living in those suburban neighborhoods. And so for things to do, I really feel like there's plenty of to do around Spokane, especially if you want to get outdoors. This last weekend, I found a new hiking trail in the Dishman Hills. I explored that area a little bit more than I have. I usually get on into the Dishman Hills off of Dishman Micah, but I actually entered in on the west side this time and found this whole map of trails. It was super cool, and there's just a whole section, another section of it that less people walk on. So So I think there's always new trails to find. You can explore Riverfront Park, all the amenities that his has to have. The carousel recently got an upgrade, so go check that out. And I mean an upgrade beyond the one that they did like 4 years ago. You can walk the Centennial Trail, which is what I love to do every weekend. There's also an amazing music, food scene here in Spokane. We just wrapped up the Inlander Restaurant Week, which is our way of getting people into the restaurants in the cold of winter. So restaurants come out with cool menus. You just pay like a flat fee for a 3-course menu at dozens and dozens of restaurants in Spokane. So there's a lot of cool things going on here. So final thoughts, you can take all this information, but the one thing that you need to know about before you move here to Spokane is that the location of your home is really what matters the most to you. Don't get stuck on the home itself or like the kitchen that it has, the beauty, because you're not really going to care about that kitchen if you don't like your neighbors or you don't like the walkability of your neighborhood. Those are big things and mistakes that I've made as well, and why I might be selling my house here in the next little bit and moving to another neighborhood so that I can be in a place where I enjoy my neighbors a little bit more. I enjoy the walkability of my neighborhood a little bit more. And so I've gone through a lot of mistakes. I've helped clients go through a lot of different situations buying and selling. And so that's why I would love to be your boots on the ground here in Spokane. I meet with my clients over Zoom or in person. We figure out what is the most important to you, do our research, make sure that we're investigating every property. And that's the great thing about the market right now is you have time to investigate and do your due diligence. So if you need help moving in or out of Spokane, I'm your guy. Please reach out to me at the link down below. The Calendly link allows you to book a meeting directly on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. I'd love to chat. Have a good one, and thanks so much for watching the video.